Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another Misfits Racing League broadcast. Today, we have the final race of the season. It is, of course, at the iconic Suzuka circuit. It is the Japanese Grand Prix for round 17 of Season 2 action. My name is Stryfium, and joining me today, as always, Mikal. Mikal, what can we say about this one?
Well, it's definitely going to be quite nail-biting, especially in that midfield. The drivers and constructors standings and that area of the standings is still really tight.
For
so,
sure.
Hoping for some great battles from those guys, and maybe some of the guys who have already secured their places might have a bit of fun.
For sure. Suzuka, great circuit, of course, no stranger to championship battles. There's the circuit there on screen. You can see only one DRS zone here down the pit straight, Mikal. Definitely a very fun circuit to drive. One of my personal favorites for sure.
Yeah,
you can see the
Suzuka's
diagram
really
here.
like a driver's circuit. The thing about Suzuka is that you've got the very fast and flowing S sections, and then you've got the iconic spoon curve and the 130R. There's just too many iconic corners on the circuit, and it's also the only figure-of-8 circuit on the F1 calendar as well, which provides a unique spectacle.
I really love the figure-8 aspect here, 100%.
Yeah, it's definitely a driver's circuit.
Let's take a look at the teams. Zamayo. I don't know if I'll ever get that right, Mick. Zamayo, Rackety over at Ferrari, Skybits and Shenjay for Haas, Falcon 9 and Luketra over at Renault, Fubar and Custom at Mercedes, Zamis and Undertaker for Alfa Romeo, Bois and Jasco for Red Bull with Astrodite and Henry over at Williams, Yoda and Jean for McLaren. BTFU 15 will not be here today. Very upsetting, unfortunately. His PC is out of commission and we miss him dearly, as he will not be taken to the circuit today for the first time this season, and unfortunately that will more than likely see him fall out of his current standings position of third, if I am correct in saying that. Bear Gaming and Tupac over at Racing Point with Alex Bitto, the newest addition to that Toro Rosso squad who has been storming the circuit lately, will be taking his seat, of course. Let's take a look at the standings. Going into this final round, Mikal, we have a lot of battling going on, as this is the wrong standings. That's the Tier 2. Let's go to Tier 1. That's more important right now. We just saw our Tier 2 driver's race. Zamayo has clinched the driver's title. Congratulations to him. Yoda is in the fight, though, as Shenjay in third is looking to perhaps capitalize. I don't think he can at this point, Mikal. I think Yoda has definitely clinched that second position there with 155 points. So the battle for third is on. Shenjay and BTFU tied at the moment, and with BTFU absent, all Shenjay needs to do here is finish this race in the points. Zamis in the same situation in fifth position. Bois not too far behind them. If he was to win a race today, that could upset things. But other than that, yeah. Very tight standings, down all the way through into 10th position here, as well as in 11th, 12th, and 13th. We have a three-way tie at the moment with 31 points for Fubar, Custom, and Astrodite. Tons of ties all over the grid. Luketra, Skybits tied there for 15th with 20 points. So definitely a few heated exchanges going to be happening on circuit today. But of course, the Constructors' Championship, now that is something to be excited about. Ferrari have won the season's Constructors' title. Of course, McLaren, though, fighting with Toro Rosso, Red Bull, Haas, as well as perhaps Williams if they're able to score a solid finish here. Renault tied with Alfa Romeo at the moment. Mercedes in 9th with 80 points. Racing Point behind them with 70. So, very interesting Constructors' standings for sure. And just before we get into the race, last thing I'd like to mention to all of our viewers, if you haven't already heard, June 27th, the Canadian Grand Prix. It is the Misfits Racing League versus the Delta Motor Racing League. June 27th, 2 o'clock Central Daylight Time, 8 o'clock in the evening for those going by British Summertime. Hosted here, commentated by myself and perhaps Henry. Maybe another new guest we're going to be giving away an F1 2020 Michael Schumacher edition, so make sure you tune in for that. And of course, with that being said, Mikhail, I believe we're ready to go racing here in Suzuka.
Yeah, it looks like all 20 drivers are raring to go, just selecting their preferred tire allocation for the weekend. So I don't think we'll see too many people deviate from the two softer compounds available at this track. Of course, it's the softs, mediums, and hards. Varying tire compounds race to race, but the same names. You know. So Suzuka can be quite hard on the tires, but the tires seem the selected tire compounds for the circuit really do seem to hold up fairly well. So it looks like we have a dry qualifying, at least for the moment.
Very interested to see what kind of strategies we get from our drivers today here in Tier 1, Mikhail. As we have a full 20 driver grid. Finn, who we saw last drive with us in Abu Dhabi, making his return to the grid today. He drove as a reserve then for Racing Point, Mikhail. Now in your seat, if I will say, over at Haas, where you did begin the season, where you raced alongside him in that first race in Abu Dhabi. Now taking to the circuit for the final race of the season. Very, very ironic from the Finnish driver. He was, of course, our Season 1 champion, making a cameo appearance today.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's looking for some redemption after the struggles he experienced last season. But we do have our first cars out on track, and it will be Lutra going through the S's now. So he'll be the first one to set a lap time when it comes to that in a few minutes' time.
Very, very sneaky of Mikhail there. For those of you wondering why he said what he just did, Mikhail happened to strip Finn of a victory in Suzuka last season. His claim to fame for that first Misfits season, that superb drive in Suzuka. So tipping my hat to you over there, Mikhail. Of course, Finn not on the best receiving end of that one. Is driving a Haas today. The same car Mikhail took to victory a season ago. And it looks like we've had some kind of issue with Zmayo in the pits. Once again, Ferrari has been struggling at this end of the season with some issues in his car. I guess he pushed it extremely hard throughout the season, Mikhail.
Yeah, I wonder where we've seen that one before. But anyways, it's very unfortunate for the Ferrari drivers. He'll be starting from the back. Well, Samara clinching the title a few races ago. And actually doing the first challenge quite successfully in the last race in Mexico City. So quite curious to see how he goes in Suzuka. But Lutra is now about to start his flying laps review.
Spoke with Lutra a little bit before this race, and he understands what's at stake here for him. He has been trying to capture an elusive win ever since he joined us here in Tier 1. He saw a win in, I believe it was Italy, last race out for him for Tier 2.
Yeah, it looks like he's backed out of that lap for the time being, so next car behind him is Undertaker, just going through the Dunlop curve now. Well, he gets a bit unstable there. Losing the back end slightly, but doesn't look like it's cost him too much. Makes his way through the hairpin as well. Getting that extra rotation.
And that's a
Jean has
retirement.
had an issue. Yeah, Jean losing it at the start of the S's. That's not something you see really every day. Didn't really know it was that bad to warrant a retirement. So he'll be starting from the back as well. Very unfortunate for the McLaren driver. So Undertaker now coming through the final corner, making sure to keep the car as stable as you can over that bump, and it will be a 1:31.2, the first competitive lap time. And then Henry smashes that out of the park with a 1:29.8, and his teammate Aphrodite going 8/10 faster than that.
These Williams seem to be here with very, very clear intentions as Rackety comes across in the Ferrari. On the medium compound tires, mind you, 129.570 as Shenjie and Bois come across the line. Shenjie in the Haas setting a 127.741, and Undertaker's had a spin off on the exit here of this S's section. You can see him off to the right. Bois 128.393 here in qualification so far. These gaps are going to continue to shrink as the track evolves here, as more rubber gets shredded here on the tarmac.
Yeah, I dare say we've seen the best from our drivers so far. I'm sure all these drivers have a lot more time to find.
MRL founder Zamis making his way on a flyer through 130R now, Mikkel, coming into the final chicane here.
He's got that hot lap mode engaged. See the fuel lights flashing on the telemetry. So he opens up the DRS to cross the line. It'll be a 1:29.9. So that will put him in 9th place for the moment. I doubt he's too happy with that one, Striff.
Speaking with him before the race, he is extremely hungry for some solid points here in Suzuka. He's got great pace here. He's shown it previously in his online lobbies and throughout last season as well. And hopefully he'll be able to put something a little bit more close to his personal times than that 129.9. It's, it could just be getting a feel for the conditions, the circuit in its current format. I mean, there's 12 minutes to go, so a lot of time left. Yoda, who has clinched second position here, he is starting to get things set up in his car for his first flyer of the session. Perhaps looking to further cement himself as the runner-up this season to Zmayo. They raced earlier today in a league race together, and I do believe Zmayo took the win with Yoda coming across the line in Spa with a nice P3. So he's already had a little bit of time on circuit today, mind you, not Suzuka, but he's had some fighting already happen today. So he's geared up, he's going to take off now, and we are on board with the McLaren down the pit straight.
Yeah, so right on board with the runner-up Yoda. He takes it on a lap around Suzuka, turn 1, being as brave as you can, trying to use all the track available, carry all the speed, and he's already invalidated. That's just a risky run, trying to carry so much speed through that turn 1. And it's a hard turn to get right, those two turns. You know, if you even run the slightest bit too wide, the game will ping you for track limits. But not carrying enough speed and you're losing a lot of time. So,
meanwhile,
perfect
Finn
demonstration.
flying now.
And my game's telling me he's setting a purple sector 1. So it looks like it's pretty good so far. Makes his way through the hairpin now. All the way down to first to get that extra rotation out of the corner now through 200R. The lesser known of the two corners. 7th gear, look at that 50-meter board. Down 2 gears. Trying to be as early or as delicate as you can on the power. Hold a nice line through his spoon curve. Now we're on the back straight. Heading now towards the famous 130R. Of course, Fernando Alonso's famous overtake around the outside of Michael Schumacher. Seen 15 years ago. But he now goes through the final chicane, 3rd gear. Trying to do all he can to get all the traction available to him. DRS open, cross the line. It will be a 127.871. So he will be 1/10 behind his teammate. And currently, it's a Haas front row.
Very quick coming out of the Finn driver in the Haas today as he's returned from his sabbatical, doing nice and good to keep the car on the front of the grid as we're used to seeing him. King in third position here for the Renault squad, with Bois in fourth, Astrodite in fifth for the time being, as all of these drivers now, a good chunk of that midfield in this grid, looking to go out on their outlaps at the moment. Manza in the Toro Rosso coming through Spoon. Coming up on a lot of traffic here.
That certainly isn't ideal. But let's see what he can do. So flat out through 130R. Trying to spot that break point just around the 100-meter board. Opts for second gear, trying to get the car turned in as best he can. Then up through the gears, trying to keep the car stable over that bump that will not be there in the next game, thankfully. But he comes across the line. And that is a 128.312. So that'll put him in fourth position.
Now he's in an extremely difficult position, Mikhail. Finishing that hot lap, he knows all of those drivers we saw him pass into 130R are going to be carrying out their laps now. Yoda on an outlap has just come out of the pit lane, but I do believe that is the Renault of Lutra on a flyer ahead of him in the S's section. We'll go on board with him as he looks to improve on a 129.2.
Ops to Holden in seventh for the first Degner. Uses third for the second, trying to get that rotation and then that traction. His way up the hill towards the hairpin. First gear and then quickly up to third, trying to get all the traction available from those rear tires. And then through 200R, completely flat, trying to hold that left-hand side as tight as you can. Looking for that 50-meter board. Just after that, that's when you want to be dabbing the brakes, down 2 gears into the spoon curve. Trying to hook the apex on that second part as best as you can, trying to get the best possible exit for the back straight that follows, as Chenjay will improve it on his time. 127.3. Lutra heading through 130R now, trying to spot that braking point down into the final chicane. Third gear, trying to use all the track available. You can use all of that curbing, but he gets a bit hairy off that bump off the final corner, but he will improve by a whole second strip to a 128.2.
Very nice from him. Big lap. Jumping ahead in front of him now, Custom in the Mercedes, looking to set a time here a little bit better than a 129.6. Of course, the last time I saw Suzuka in a the last time I saw Custom, in a Suzuka qualifying session, I watched him collide with a McLaren who was unfortunately horizontal across the circuit just ahead of the checkered line. And absolute madness. No idea who was in the McLaren.
Absolutely no idea, Striffium. But in the meantime, Zamis has come across the line to improve on his time. He's now in fourth position with the 128.1. So that is definitely a more respectable time from the Alfa Romeo.
He'll be happy with that one for sure. Big improvement on his previous lap. Almost a full 2 seconds actually ahead of that time.
But Custom now heading down the back straight. All the way up into 8th gear, hitting almost 310 kilometers an hour. Makes its way through 130R and hard on the brakes for the final chicane. He as well loses it on the bump. And he will not improve on his time, unfortunately.
Oh, that is extremely unfortunate for the Mercedes there. That bump causing so many people problems. Now, our favorite one-shot qualifier, Mr. Fubar, is currently on an outlap. We're going to jump on board with him shortly. We have Alex Bitto making his way out of the hairpin now for the Toro Rosso squad. Somebody we have not yet seen set a time here, Mikhail.
Maybe he's adopting the Fubar strategy, leaving it very, very late. Just eyeing out the competition, see what lap times he needs to be doing. But Fubar getting out of the way nicely. Letting the Toro Rosso Honda through. Of course, many Red Bull and Toro Rosso fans in the grandstands here at Suzuka. But since the Honda partnership in 2018 or 19, I can't exactly remember. But Alex, now going over that bump, DRS open as he crosses the line, and that will be P2 for the Spanish driver. With a 127.74. Only 100th in it between him and Mr. Bois.
Fubar looking for that evolved circuit with the rubbering in here, Mikkel. He's on a flyer through the S's. Yoda has also been unable to string together a time here in this session. Maybe he's dealing with issues just like Zmayo. Who knows at this point over at the McLaren garage, as Jean unfortunately had that mishap.
And Jess goes out of the session as well. Not sure what's gone on with him. Nevertheless, Fubar now making his way through Sector 2. Alex being sure to stay well clear of the Mercedes. As he makes his way down into Spoon Curve. You just see the bravery. You see the speed that he carries through that corner. But is it going to be enough? He makes his way down the back straight. The fuel light is now flashing, so he's on fumes at this point, Striffium. Heading into 130R, 312 kilometers an hour. Then all the way down to second gear into the final chicane, using all the track available on that left-hand side and then some. Trying to keep it as stable as you can on the curb. He opts to hold that left-hand side, and he'll come across the line with a 128.4. So that'll put him in 9th position.
He's going to be happy with that after what happened in Mexico. 100%. 100%.
Yeah, it's certainly a better time than we saw from him last week. But with 2 minutes 30 remaining on the clock, I don't think he'll be able to get another run in, Strip.
That's okay. On board with Manza, the Toro Rosso debut driver over here, and he has spun it in Spoon. Very unfortunate for him, so he is definitely not going to be able to finish out that lap in record time. Bois.
Yeah,
Doing a good job over at Red Bull, currently in 3rd position, charging down up into 130R now. Looking to set a faster time than his already blistering 127.752.
Yeah, trying to spot that braking marker board. The left-hand side, second gear. See all the drivers using all of that curbing on the left-hand side as they come out of that chicane. And he'll improve by 2/10.
Very nice from him.
That'll put him on the front row next to Shenjie. But all these drivers are now out on circuit, preparing for their final runs. Except for Finn now. Finn's now retired into the bits, so he'll be happy with his 127.8. So the best we'll see the Finnish driver, the previous champion from season 1.
He was the reigning champion until a few weeks ago. He was. Zamis, currently in 5th position for the Alfa Romeo squad. Our commander-in-chief, our founder, on an out lap now, on a flying lap now, making his way through the S's section.
Yeah, there's a banana boat car stuck there on the left-hand side of that S's. But through Dunlop now, you can just see how much bravery and how much commitment you need to have through that corner. Into the first Degner now. Shifting down the 6th, trying to get that rotation. Down to 2nd for the 2nd Degner. Trying to get the car pointed around. And then into the hairpin, a similar sort of story. Short shifts up to 2nd and trying to get the traction down. And then through 200R, completely flat out in these cars. Trying to spot that 50-meter braking board. Hard on the gearbox, down the brakes. Trying to get that car turned in as much as you can, but he gets a bit of a snap there. Coming out of Spoon. That's not going to help this time, but the checkered flag has dropped, so this is the only time that he's going to be able to set. And he's 2/10 down on this time, and he's backing out of it. That is very unfortunate for the Alpha.
Extremely unfortunate for the Alpha. I can say from experience driving with Zamis in some practices and online lobbies, that Spoon curve is definitely one of his Achilles heels, if you will, in the group of circuits that we've seen him drive through this season. That Spoon curve, definitely something I've seen him struggle with in the past, so it's going to be essential for him currently in 5th position to maintain that 5th position. He needs to nail down that Spoon curve, so Hopefully he's able to get that sorted out ahead of this race. Of course, you won't be pushing that hard through a turn like that come race time. Everyone trying to go as fast as they can. Little Bear's had an off at the same turn in question. Spoon Curve, that's going to be, I believe, a retired vehicle of Henner's moving on by. Custom, slow up now, as it looks like he's out of fuel. Some of these drivers not able to get final laps in, of course.
Alex will jump Bois for P2, and it is, what is that, 5 milliseconds. 5 thousandths of a second separate our top two.
Very tight. Extremely tight between the Toro Rosso and the Red Bull. And that is, and your eyes are not mistaken, the Toro Rosso ahead of the Red Bull.
So with everyone now coming into the pits, that will be your grid for the final round of MRL Season 2 here in Suzuka. And might I say, what a tight qualifying session that was, Striff.
Oh, huge. Absolutely monumental qualifying session here in Suzuka, Macau. And things are going to be very tight off the line, most definitely for our top 5. As you can see, these guys all hungry to fight. Finn has never in my life conceded a position very easily. So he is going to be putting up a very hard defense, I'm sure, against some of these drivers if they should catch him. Shenjie, who has been very consistent this season, to say the least, had a very unfortunate outing last week. So it's going to be Shenjie on pole position, Alex Bitto in second, with Bois rounding off the top 3 drivers, Finn in 4th, and Zamis in 5th, ahead of this Japanese Grand Prix.
We're just loading into the race now. We didn't get an official weather report, but I don't see any rain on the horizon at the moment. But you never know what could happen. It is Japan. It is Suzuka. And so it's no stranger to rain from the heavens above. But it looks like some of these drivers are very keen to go, as the timer has already started ticking down for our formation lap.
I mean, they still had 20 seconds longer than I had last night in my league race, so I hope they're quick on setting up their race strategies. Of course, the drivers that qualified outside of the top 10 are going to have free reign over their tire choices here. And I'm very eager to see what strategies come out of these drivers on this formation lap.
So the lights go out. So Shenjie, our pole sitter, will lead them away on this formation lap. Give the drivers one last chance to warm up those tires and brakes before the 27 laps that will then follow. And we'll see who will take the crown. We'll stand on that top step of the podium for one final time. As Shenjie I think, is already having connection issues. That's not a good sign.
I came to find that his connection issues last week were as a result of him streaming telemetry to Germany for some reason. Hopefully he has got that sorted out for this race once again.
Samus has had an off or something on the formation lap, so he is now just sat on the grid with bone cold tires.
Very unfortunate for him, of course. You can see Fubar here, Fusions, Custom, and Zmayo all opting for the medium compound tire, Mikau. What do you make of that?
Well, obviously they're trying to go long in this first stint, try and stay out of trouble, and then be on the faster rubber towards the end of the race. Maybe hold out for a late safety car, or a safety car within the latter third of this race. But, they probably have something in mind that I'm not thinking of, or that I'm missing. So, I'm curious to see how well these drivers do, especially with someone as fast as Schumacher, who's proven time and time again that he has just incredible pace on pretty much all the circuits.
Most definitely. Keep an eye on Zmayo in that 18th position there, because he's not going to be there long, and if you blink, you might miss it.
So just waiting for these drivers to form up on the grid for one final time. If you're just joining us now, this is the final round of MRL Season 2 being held here around the lovely circuit of Suzuka. Very iconic, very famous in multiple categories of racing. And you're just joining us before the start of the race, as the final few cars are heading onto the grid for one final time. Strifium, take us through this race start.
You can hear the engines fired up now here in Suzuka. We have the lights coming on. It's 3, 4, 5 red lights, and for the last time, the lights are out here in Suzuka, and we are off racing. Shenjay with a good start off the lead here. Alex Bitto, though, challenging him already. Let's have a look down into turn 1.
Oh, someone's drifting. Oh, managed to hold it.
Bois leading this race here on the race start. Alex Bitto behind him in second. Finn in third. Shenjay has dropped off pole position into fourth here. Yoda is into fifth. And there has been a massive exchange of positions here on the opening lap of this Japanese Grand Prix.
I'm just having a look at towards further back on the grid around the Zamis area. As Fusion's having a bit of an off. Oh, and he taps the Mercedes as well. Looks like Custom's okay, though. That's an unfortunate start for the Racing Point. But no safety car, which is good to see.
Meanwhile, at the front of the grid, Mikkel, we have a serious battle forming. That is Recycle Finn in third position for the Haas squad here. Our former champion, currently at the front of the grid, hunting down Alex Bitto and Bois, who I am not sure have had the pleasure of racing against the Finnish driver as of yet. They're about to learn very quickly who this guy is. He was, of course, in his only race this season, victorious in Abu Dhabi by quite a margin, if memory serves me correctly. And you can see here now he's wheel-to-wheel with Alex Bitto down into the second lap of this race. Shenjay
looks like
in on the action.
No.
This is going to be tight. That's Finn and Alex wheel-to-wheel through turn 1. Finn currently out in front of the Toro Rosso. His teammate Shenjay watching this unfold. Finn saying, "Come with me, watch and learn, my friend. This is how you get your way to the front of the grid." Alex, I'm sorry to use you as an example, but beautiful driving from Finn. And we have a retirement. That is the Williams of Henry off here in Suzuka. Where did he crash it? Mikkel. Fusions.
Yeah.
It looks like he's lost it coming out of the S's. Henry. No! As we have yellow flags flying up, a VSC has been deployed as a result, and you don't want to see Henry out of the race. Oh, no.
Yeah, definitely one of the drivers keenly in that midfield fight, so it's very unfortunate that his final race in this season ends so abruptly. But might I just say, what amazing driving between Recycle Finn and Alex Bitto. That was incredible to watch. I'm sure it was quite nerve-wracking for the two of them, and Shenjay as well, having nowhere to go, nowhere to pass. Because, of course, Suzuka, one of the more narrow circuits. But it looks like we are green flag racing again. And Shenjay is looking down the inside of Alex into 130R. They leave each other a whole lot of space. No contact, but it will be Alex Bitto holding that position for now.
And that's a 3-wide battle happening behind him there, behind Shenjay. That's Yoda, Rackety, and Luktra all going 3 wide into that final chicane there. It is a shock that they all made it out unscathed there. Luktra in 7th. Looking at Yoda and Rackety, this is absolute intensity coming down into turn 1. Rackety on the outside. Luktra has a little bit of a tap. There's a spin. That's Rackety off here. Luktra's missing a front right end plate on that Renault. Yoda seems to have pulled out a gap from the Renault already in his McLaren. Catching up with Shenjay. Shenjay now sticking with Alex Bitto. Alex has started to fall behind the Haas. And now it is up to Finn to catch up Bois in the lead of this race for Red Bull. Meanwhile, Zamis in 8th position is going to be looking at Luktra with that wing damage in a fight for P7, and perhaps we'll see him fight with Kings shortly as well.
You can just see on that mini-map how close all the cars are from Luktra all the way down to Jean in 16th. They're all separated by about 2 seconds.
Talking about cars being separated, Zmayo is flying behind the rear of the Racing Point Little Bear right now. I told the viewers, keep an eye on that Ferrari. We're on lap 3, and he's made up 5 positions here, coming down into 130R.
Zames, I'm sorry to cut you off there, Stripper. Zames looking to try to move down the inside of 130R. Lutra not having that downforce, has to go off the track. They're still side by side as they make their way down into the final chicane. As Weil will set the fastest lap of the race so far. And Lutra will dive into the pits. So that was a great attempt there from the Alfa Romeo, but DRS has now been enabled. Manza trying to look for a move on the Alfa Romeo. Looks like Zamis is going defensive into the first corner. Leaves enough room. And will hold that position for now going into the S's.
Meanwhile, Zmayo's made his way up into 10th position here. Rackety has gotten out ahead of Custom into 13th position.
Zmayo and Fubar side by side through the S's. Zmayo looking for any way to pass this Mercedes. He'll try the switch back around Dunlop curve. Oh, this is going to be tight. And looks like Zmayo will get that move done.
Yellow flag in Sector 1.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that's for. Looks like there's a Mercedes off. That's Custom around the two Degners. Looks like he's gotten going again.
Monza suffering from some connection issues, it would seem here. As you can see, he's disconnected from the session. You can see that red X above his vehicle here as Zmayo is catching him at a very rapid rate. There's another flag popping up there in Sector 1. Fusions could be struggling as he is the only driver in that section of circuit at the moment. Meanwhile, Blois still leading this race here, but Zmayo up the inside of Monza.
Wow.
AI or no AI, it takes a lot of dedication to get a move like that done. Perhaps
in this league, no ghosting allowed, so if you hit that AI car, you will still get damaged or even end your race right there and then. But Chenjay, in the midst of all that, has made a pass on Alex Bitto for 3rd place. Now right behind his teammate once again.
Absolute fantastic racing we're seeing here so far, and we're only 5 laps in, Mikau. No safety cars as of yet, just that VSC. And Astrodate in 10th position, looking to avenge his fallen comrade there. Henners down at the bottom of the timing tower in 20th position. Looks like he lost things out of the S's section. And you hate to see that, as he was in a battle for positions here in the top 10. For the standings,
You just see how much Manza is holding up all these cars as Astrodite makes a great move around the outside at the hairpin. Gets a little bit, hairy through the traction zone, but he manages to get in front.
Fubar is still battling it, as I do believe Manza has to be back in that car. I can't see an AI driving like that. That has to be him. Fubar getting a very difficult maneuver done into Spoon.
Oh, well, Manza still has that X. So unfortunately, he isn't back in the session as of yet, but this is a massive battle forming behind him as Rackety and Little Bear going side by side. Rackety has to go off the track. But it looks like no contact as of yet. It's 2 by 2 as they make their way down into turn 1 as they start lap 6 of this 27-lap race. And there's contact there. Manza and, both pairs having a little bit of contact there. This is a yellow flag in Sector 2. That's some Mercedes off. Looks like Custom has had a bit of an issue at the sprint curve, so very unfortunate for Mercedes driver's drift.
Zmayo, Fubar currently 8th and 10th on those medium compound tires, Mikal. Jasko and Undertaker had to pit early. They've jumped onto the mediums, and we see Luktra and Fusions onto the hards already. So they'll all be looking to go to the end from here, I'm sure, at the very least on the hards. Maybe not those mids for Jasko and Undertaker, quite possibly too early for them, as this fight going on in the midfield is crazy.
That was a double overtake from Rackety. Absolute masterclass there, just sending it down the inside. There was a bit of contact with the two cars, but it doesn't look like any damage. So he'll put himself back up
Oh,
into it.
Little Bear goes wide. Jean takes advantage through Spoon here. We had a beautiful heli shot of that action. Absolute fantastic driving from them. Mayo now has made a move on Zamis. Sorry to interrupt you there, Mikhail.
That's all good. So Samayo now up into 7th place from the back of the grid. On those medium compound tires, trying to close down that 3-second gap to the next car. King.
Fubar on the inside of Astrodate down into turn 1. It looks like he's made the move for now into 9th position on those medium compound tires. Showing a lot of pace as the German driver today for the Mercedes squad.
That's just great to see. You know, Fubar's had such an up and down season. This entire season, every single race. So I'm glad he's, back up in those points on those medium tires. He's in a good position for himself, I feel. So it looks like all the gaps have started to spread out a little bit. So yellow flag sector 3, and that's Custom off at the final corner. And we have another virtual safety car.
That bump in the road heading down into that restart of the lap. Absolutely brutal, and I'm sure Custom not going to be happy about that. Suzuka is definitely a race that has evaded him this past while.
Yeah, but it looks like the top 2 are using this opportunity to dive into the pits and get some fresh rubber. So putting on a set of mediums to run to the end of this race.
Meanwhile, Shenjie leading the race now with Alex Bitto not too far behind him, and Yoda has advanced his way into 3rd position, as well as Mayo and Zamis. So a multitude of position changes now, with those drivers opting to jump in for fresh rubber.
This looks like Bois and Finn have come out in 8th and 10th respectively, as Manza has finally joined back into the session. Welcome back, my friend. I don't think that VSC could have come at any more opportune time for our top 2 drivers. Getting a cheap pit stop under that virtual safety car, they're going to be in a scarily good position.
And I just don't mean to interrupt you here, Mikhail, but of course, Ricky Ciardo, former MRL driver, who we last saw take a podium in France, has rated us with 23 viewers. So welcome. You're joining us for MRL Season 2 action. It is Suzuka.
Looks like Undertaker's just retired in the pits as well. So obviously having some issues with that car. Unable to continue in this race. But all the gaps starting to spread out a little bit. Looks like Bois on those fresh mediums is eyeing up that Williams in 7th position. Using that battery, using that fuel. And that slipstream heading through 130R in the back straight into the final chicane.
Bois driving great here in Suzuka. On the fresh mediums, looking to recapture the race lead at some point in the near future. All of the drivers ahead of him opting to stay out on their older tires. Of course, it was a VSC that prompted the race leaders.
Go right. Goes around the outside of Astrodite. Still holding it there, and he gets the move done. Wow.
That was a master class in clean driving between the two of those guys through turn 1 there. That move, under some circumstances, can most definitely be considered suicide. Lutra, on those 5-lap-old hard tires, now looking to make his way back into the points, has overtaken Monza, who has decided to jump in for fresh mediums. Bois now has a new target set, and that is the German Fubar, currently running for Mercedes in 6th position.
And also right behind them in 9th and 10th, Rackety has a big target on his back from last season's champion, Recycle Finn, who also made his pit stop under the virtual safety car. Oh, Rackety losing the rear end just a little bit coming out of that. So there's 2 battles to keep your eyes on, ladies and gentlemen. Keeping an eye on Bois as he has a look. Oh, and he's run into the back of him. Cuts all the way across the track.
Oh my god, and he's kept it going through that chicane. Very interesting there, as he looks like he's lost control of the car. He's going to have damage on that front end, as I don't believe he has any end plates left.
Yeah, meanwhile, Recycle Finn making his way past Fubar and Rackety in the space of 2 corners.
Very interesting racing here on this crossover. The pit window now open for a few of these drivers, as I do believe it's time to get off of those softs pretty soon here. And a few drivers, of course, pitting early with that VSC.
Yeah, the softs can't be feeling too great at this stage of the race. Getting pretty hot through that S section, and starting to feel the wear in those very long, prolonged high-speed corners. Some drivers definitely going to be feeling the lack of grip on those red wall tires. It looks like Rackety still trying to eye up this Mercedes in front of him. Oh, he's very, very close. He's going to try and look around the outside, heading into 130R. And it looks like he'll get the move done before the corner, using that overtake ERS mode. So that's the Ferrari up into 9th place.
Shenjie into the pits now. Onto the mediums he goes. That's going to be Zamis into 4th position, as he is just exiting now.
Finn will make his way past the Williams of Aphrodite. Now up into 6th.
Meanwhile, Fubar and Rackety. That's Rackety on the inside. He's spun out in turn 1 here in the Ferrari. Fubar and him going wheel to wheel through that turn. Not too sure what caused the spin there. We didn't have an onboard view of that one, but that was a very close call for Rackety. Looks like he has come out unscathed as far as his front wing is concerned, but he is going to be looking to maybe make up a lot more time here than he wanted to, especially on those 10-lap-old softs, Mikkel. Meanwhile, Finn with another target. This time around, it is the Red Bull of Bois, as these drivers were separated by a small gap earlier in this race when they were fighting in 1st and 2nd. Now, things are a little bit tighter. They're on the same life tire, coming down into Spoon Curve. This is a battle for the net leadership of this race, Mikkel.
Yeah, the little bit of contact there going through the Spoon Curve, but Recycle Finn using that overtake mode. Which way is he going to go? He's going to try and look down the inside. Thinks better of it. Thankfully, that could have been a massive, massive accident while braking really early for that final chicane. Of course, is missing one of those end plates, as Zamis will pick up a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. But you can just see in that bottom right, Finn has used up all of his battery trying to get past while defending extremely hard. It's a bit of wheel banging. They're heading the way into turn 1. And Finn's been spun around.
Ooh.
Gonna move all wrong, and it will
Not going to be happy about that is Finn. He has lost a good chunk of that front wing. And he has left, which is something that we do not like to see here. Very unfortunate for him, getting into a spin like that. It's never a good idea coming out of turn 1, I find, and I have experience to be fighting like that, so unfortunate for him. Meanwhile, King sticking with Jean here. King on the fresher rubber, Jean on those older soft compound tires. Rackety has gone in for fresh rubber. He's dropped back into 16th position.
Yeah, after that spin that we saw him have last lap, probably wasn't feeling the best on those soft compound tires. It looks like Alex and John are still holding up okay with them. John looks like losing a bit of grip through the spoon curve, but he manages to keep it on the track. But King has just gotten so much more grip coming out of spoon. He's got so much more speed than this McLaren. He has to lift off to not make a pass through 130R, but it looks like he'll get him around the outside heading into the final chicane. So he gets past that McLaren. As John will head into the pits, so Yoda will now be following the Renault driver.
And he's quite close to the Renault driver. He has DRS down into turn 1. He's on much fresher rubber here. 4 laps the difference. Zamis into 8th position now as he's overtaken John. John in for the fresh mediums. Yoda on the hunt now in that battle for 6th.
Yeah, the grid's sort of been spread out a bit as Manza will set the new fastest lap of the race on 1:31.2.
Unclear if Mans is actually back or not. I saw him disconnect just a few moments ago. He's been plagued by connection issues here in this one. Yoda getting very tight to the rear of this Renault through the hairpin now. Using a little bit more battery than him into that turn. Coming down into Spoon. This is where things go down coming out of this very unique, iconic turn here in Suzuka. Up, down into the straight section.
Sorry to cut you off there, Strifian, but there is a fight for the net lead of this race. Looks like Chenjay is all over the back of Bois on those fresher medium tires. Heading through the final chicane now. We'll have DRS heading down this main straight. Uses that overtake mode. Which way is he going to go? While opts to hold that inside line, squeezing Chenjay all the way to the grass. But Chenjay will get that move done. So Chenjay is now your net leader in this race.
Meanwhile, Yoda sticking with King. Not giving him any opportunity to breathe here in this fight for 6th position.
Yeah, he's sticking right on the back of that Renault. You can see that light from the back of that yellow car, meaning that King will be charging his battery, as Yoda is doing the same through that technical S section. Let's see if the McLaren, our runner-up from this season, can make any move on the Renault ahead.
Meanwhile, his teammate Jean sticking with Little Bear in this battle for 11th position right now.
Yeah, both McLarens on the attack.
Rackety gets out in front of Monza.
Yeah, Zach Brown on that McLaren pit wall probably has some nerves kicking in as both his cars trying to make the attack. John getting very, very close to the back of that racing point. Chenjay will now set the fastest lap of the race, a 1:30.9.
Meanwhile,
Broken the 31-second barrier.
Yoda with that, well, it doesn't look like he has DRS actually. As looks like there may be an issue with the McLaren garage.
Yeah, it's Yoda. Yoda doesn't need that DRS. Dives it down turn 1 and now puts himself back up into 6th position. Now eyeing up the Mercedes of Fubar ahead of him.
Meanwhile, his teammate Jean is going to have DRS on the racing point ahead of him coming down the pit straight. Easy down into turn 1. Jean is out in front of Little Bear. Will Little Bear do anything to fight back here? Doesn't look like he can. Jean with so much momentum down through into turn 1 there.
I'm just keeping an eye on this battle for 5th place at the moment. King doing well to try and stick with the McLaren as best he can, as Yoda keeps chasing down that Mercedes in front of him while picking up a 3-second time penalty. And Manza leaves the session again.
Fubar here still has to pit, so it'll be interesting to see, unless I'm mistaken. Did we see an early pit from Fubar?
No, he is yet to make it.
No, he's still on those medium compound tires.
Yoda closing all the way to the back of the Mercedes. So this should be a fairly simple move to make. Which way is he going to go? Looks like Yoda opts for that inside line. And King now will be following. But Alex, as he comes out of the pits right in front of that McLaren. That is crucial for his race. So
Ooh, and King is after Fubar as well here because he almost went into the rear of that Mercedes, as we saw on the broadcast camera. Now we're on board with him. We can just see how close he really is to the rear of that Mercedes, as this battle for 4th position is starting to really heat up here. Manza with so many connection issues here in this one. Very unfortunate for him.
We're currently watching the closest few cars on circuit at the moment. Yoda now experiencing the Chenji glitch, now being shown in 17th.
No.
I assure you, ladies and gentlemen, that he is still in that 4th position. Doesn't look like there's any blue flags being shown on the digital flag posts, as I'll call them. Why
We
not?
can see his car
But
there.
But King making a move around the outside at the chicane, and he'll get that move done. But Fubar will now have DRS down this main straight, but he's got no battery left to really make a solid attack. And King will also have DRS off the McLaren in front.
Blue flags are being waved here for Yoda.
Oh, no.
And if I know Yoda, he is most definitely going to choose to ignore these flags, as he is currently running in 4th position, I believe, or 5th, excuse me. Yoda is running in at the moment.
No, it's in 4th. You were right the first time. Made a move on King a few laps ago, but meanwhile,
No, Alex is in
further up the
4th, is
grid.
he not?
out. Oh yeah.
That's okay. King.
Got me there. Got me
Well, if Codemasters did its job, never mind. Change my
We
mind.
won't go down that rabbit hole. We're here to watch some hard, clean racing, which we've already seen amazing overtakes from all these drivers. And now, Alex Biddo eyeing down that sister team. The Honda fans going crazy. He's now 6/10 behind that Red Bull. Hopefully trying to make a move in the next couple of laps. While still carrying that damage from earlier. Nearly a collision with Fubar at that final chicane as Schumacher now dives into the pits for a set of fresh, soft compound tires. Looks like he'll be coming out right in front of the McLaren. Yes, he will.
Wow, almost getting a tap from the Toro Rosso of Alex here through these S's. He was extremely slow through the first portion coming out of turn 1. Alex is showing great speed on these fresh mediums compared to Bois on those 10-lap-old mids. So
Yeah, the wing damage isn't helping either.
most definitely not. And Alex in a good striking position here.
But he has to keep one eye behind him as Meyer on those fresh softs, no less. He's going to look for a gap. He tries to go down the inside of the hairpin. That was a bit optimistic. But Alex will hold that place for now. So Alex, one mindset attacking, the other mindset defending. Let's see what he's able to pull off as we are now on lap 18 of this race.
This is an extremely tight position for Alex to be in here because he's got Bois ahead of him who he can't pass right now because the speed coming out of that car is great, even with that wing damage. Bois has shown great pace here in Suzuka, but that's Zmayo up the inside. It doesn't look like he's going to be able to get the move done here, but he is going to have DRS, as is Alex here on Bois.
Oh, Bois is going to lose out, surely. So overtakes mode engaged. Bois making an aggressive dive at defense. It looks like Zmayo has touched back him as well. Alex goes really deep into turn 1, and Bois defending with his life, holding that position.
This is just great racing.
Schumacher now finds a gap. Looks like Alex is getting boxed in there side by side going through the Dunlop curve. This is incredible racing from these three. There's a bit of contact there between Schumacher and Bois. He pushed onto the grass a little bit, but it looks like he's able to catch that car. Schumacher looking for a dive at any possible corner to make an overtake. And in the midst of all this fighting, King is now on the back. As well is Yoda.
Yeah, you can't forget about Yoda.
There's a 5-car battle here for second place in this race. Samayo trying to look around the outside of the sprint curve, just can't seem to find the gap he needs to get past. But Alex Spitto right behind him as they're going to have this entire slipstream train heading into 130R. Looks like Samayo trying to make a move down the inside, heading into 130R. There's a bit of contact. Bois gets forced off the track a tiny bit, but Samayo will get through for that second position. Or will he, as Bois comes back? A little bit of a lockup. Samayo has to go off the track. Probably getting a little bit of an advantage there. But then we have this DRS train right behind him.
And look at that. Yoda has been placed back into 5th position here by the stewards. And I have a massive grin across my face as I'm just saying thank you for fixing that. I hope it stays fixed. Oh, and there's a big spin!
Alex! Alex is off!
Oh no, Alex is out. Yoda is tied up in that. He doesn't know what to do. He's taken a 5-second penalty for the incident. Of course, he's recording. We'll see what happened post-race, but that is just a massive collision here, and it isn't even enough to warrant a full safety car, Mikau. We have a VSC deployed here on lap 20. Wow.
That is insane. The highs go straight to the lows.
Welcome to Formula One.
Now.
Wow.
VSC has been lifted. Yoda now showing correctly in that 6th place. Has lost the position to Zamis now, who's been just quietly driving his own race.
Now, let's take a look at this McLaren of Yoda at the moment. If I'm not mistaken, Mikau, he came out of this incident completely unscathed as far as damage on that front wing, which means that the only thing he lost was a little bit of tire wear in that incident. You can see as he slides it a little bit through this spoon curve.
On my screen, it looks like he's missing his left end plate, so I don't know which one is more accurate. But that was a pretty big collision. I do say so myself.
I could very well be mistaken. Of course, we'll never know, but King.
Oh, Bois losing the end. There's more contact. Both drivers able to keep the cars from spinning. But it looks like Bois, with an aggressive defense once again, will hold that position. Meanwhile, a little bit further down the grid, we have both Renaults attacking, it seems. As King's teammate Lutra, down in 8th place, is eyeing up that Williams of Aphrodite through the S's. And Fubar on those fresher soft compound tires right behind them, trying to see what he can accomplish from this fight.
King less than half a second behind Bois here. Bois struggling now with that wing damage.
Yeah, he's done very well to keep that car in the podium places for now. But I'm sure it's going to get harder and harder as the laps tick down. Like Chenjay about to start lap 22 of this race. There's 6 laps to go here in Suzuka and 6 laps to go for this season. King very, very close to the back of that Red Bull as Mario will set the fastest lap of the race so far with a 1:30.0 as he attempts to chase down that pass in first.
King down the outside into turn 1. Bois, that's him in the Red Bull on the inside here. Who's going to come out on top? Very tight racing, very clean racing from these two drivers in this battle for third at the moment. King has made it happen for now. Meanwhile, Aphrodite is being overtaken twice here in turn 1. Lutra and Fubar getting the better of the Williams driver.
Yeah, well, these drivers putting that one of those tires onto the grass probably isn't ideal for the grip situation. Oh, Fubar, don't scare me like that, mate. Losing the back end through the S's like that. You just see in the dirty air of that Renault, Fubar just losing the rear end slightly. but he's got so much more grip, so much more speed than the Renault in front. Lutra goes defensive, but it's not enough. Fubar, sorry, trying to make a dive down the inside at the hairpin. They're wheel to wheel as they make their way through 200R. Looks like Lutra will hold that place for now, though.
That was really sneaky by the German driver there. So close to making a clean overtake coming out of that hairpin. Unfortunately, Lutra, just a good exit from him. A lot of power in that Renault. Astrodite sticking with them on the 10-lap-old mediums. Fubar is on the quickest tire of the 3 in this battle for 7th position. And now Bois has gone into the pit lane here, looking for a wing change and maybe some fresh tires as he's serving a penalty in the pit lane. Zamis has been advanced into 4th position, and Yoda, who I can now see is missing that front left end plate, moving in 5th.
Yeah, so Zamis only 3.1 seconds behind the Renault ahead, so he'll be looking to try and get a podium place. But Bois, after that penalty and wing change, is going to come out all the way down in 12th place.
We've got an off here. That's Fusions coming out of the hairpin. He's spun it on the 17-lap-old hards. He is just not having a great race today over there for Racing Point. Very unfortunate for him, as Fubar is still on the rear of Lutra. He's not giving him any opportunity to breathe here. They're both absolutely flying into this hairpin. That's Fubar. Is he going to get it done around the outside? No, he isn't. Lutra with another fantastic exit. One thing to note here is that Lutra is expending far less energy.
Fusions just heading off at the Spoon curve, the exit of Spoon. Maybe right on board with Yoda. We might be able to see it. See that Racing Point just in that left-hand wall. Not quite sure how that happened. But meanwhile, Fubar is still right on the back of this Renault, but he has no ERS to really make a decent attack. But he doesn't need an ERS. He dives it down the inside at the chicane, not the hairpin, the chicane. But it looks like he won't be able to get that move done. But all this fighting means Astrodite behind them is also going to be on this fight. Now he has half his battery left, so he's going to use that overtake mode. Has to back out. Doesn't want to make it 3-1 at the turn 1. And might I say, that's a very wise choice, my friend.
Very tight battle between these 3 drivers. Astrodite's had his hands together waiting for an opportunity. He saw one. He almost took it. But like you said, very patient behind the wheel of this Williams. Fubar, not so much, as he has been absolutely sitting on Lutra here these past couple of laps.
Oh, he's going to try the Degner. Oh, he just has to back out of it, but Lutra going a bit off track. You see the desperation in this Mercedes, trying to find any possible opportunity to just make a dive and get this move done. You start to get the feeling that Lutra is starting to hold up this Mercedes on those 20-lap-old hards. Not having the greatest of pace. Fubar, just looking for any gap, but Lutra is not giving him any opportunities, especially at this stage of the race with 3 laps to go. What an amazing battle, Striffian.
It's great racing. I'm really enjoying this battle right now for 6th position. It is the battle to watch on circuit at the moment. Meanwhile, Rackety is carefully closing in on the 10th and final points position here. He's currently less than a second behind Little Bear. Now Astrodite with the DRS. He isn't as close to Fubar as I'm sure he would have liked coming down into this turn.
Yeah, Fubar a bit further back than he has been on the previous laps, as Bois will now take the fastest lap on those fresh softs. 129.2. But yeah, Fubar, you can see, starting to struggle a little bit. Just can't seem to get the car turned in, and Alex Bitto has left the session now after that very unfortunate crash that we saw a few laps ago. My condolences to the Toro Rosso driver.
Of course, for those of you just tuning in, this is Misfits Racing League Season 2 action as Fubar looks once again to go around the outside of Lutra. And this is our final round of Season 2 action here. A lot of things on the line for a few of these drivers. Of course, join us in Discord for the outcome of the standings, or follow us on Twitter. Of course, after all of our races, penalties and reports will come through, playing a role in the official finish. Zmayo over there in second position on the grid has already clinched the driving title with Yoda in 5th, securing the runner-up position. And we're watching a battle unfold on circuit at the moment for the remaining positions.
Ooh, Aphrodite getting pinged with a 5-second penalty for going off track at that chicane.
Oh, that is just awful for him.
Slightest bit, the game will ping you almost instantly, but Fubar is going to try around the outside of turn 1 once again.
He's gone
Goes
wide.
all the way off track. Just those tires not giving him the grip he needs. And it looks like he'll give up that position to Aphrodite as well. So Aphrodite now up into 7th, but with that 5-second penalty, I don't know if it's going to have enough time to pull a gap.
Extremely unfortunate. You can see Fubar is absolutely pushing the car to the absolute limit.
It's like Little Bear again in that racing point.
Rackety in 11th position. Has lost out to Bois.
Yes, Little Bear trying to get that car going once again. So Bois now in the points and does hold that fastest lap. So he, as of now, will be receiving 2 points instead of 1 for that 10th place. But Shenjie and Zmayo now on the final lap of this race and the final lap of the season. So back to this battle for 6th place. This will be the last opportunity. You know, once they cross that finish line, they'll be on the final lap of the race.
Zmayo here, relentless in the Scarlet Red Ferrari as he started from 18th here and has made his way through the grid into 2nd position, now approaching the back marker of Monza in 13th position. He is currently 4.2 seconds off the lead. Aphrodite still fighting with Luktra. Fubar has dropped back now, and Rackety having some issues.
Yeah, Rackety picking up a 5-second penalty like Aphrodite did at that final chicane. That's definitely not going to help his chances, you know, especially if Bois accumulates enough penalties. But look at this, Aphrodite is right on the back of this run, or the final lap of this race. I was looking to the first Stigner, but decides to back out of it for now. The fuel light turning on for both of these drivers. Aphrodite still having some life left in those.
Sorry to interrupt you there, Mikau. It is going to be Shenjie in the Haas, getting what he couldn't do in Mexico last week, taking the checkered flag here in Suzuka with our reigning Season 2 champion, Zmayo, finishing behind him in 2nd. Very nice drive from Shenjie. His first win here for the MRL. Long time coming.
Yeah, it has been a long time coming. Looks like King will now come across the line to finish in 3rd place. Zamis in 4th. Yoda will hold out 5th, but there's still a battle for the 6th place as Aphrodite still right on the back, using everything available. This is the last chance that he has. Lutra going extremely defensive into that final chicane. And Fubar at the last corner picking up a 3-second time penalty. That's not going to help his chances. But Lutra will jump. Yoda is actually as well. But Aphrodite falling down the order, and Jean picking up that 7th place on the virtue of penalties.
Well, what a race, Mikau. I mean, what can be said about this one? This was filled, absolutely filled to the brim with overtakes, drama, heartbreak for some of these drivers. Bois, who we saw leading this race, ladies and gentlemen, off of the line. Unfortunately, only able to come across 10th here in Suzuka. Shenjie, who we saw start on pole, lose out that position early, drop back into 4th, and exchange multiple positions and overtakes throughout this race, will take home the win. Very well deserved from him after having come across the line as runner-up so many times before.
And as Little Bear comes across the line, that
Little
will
Bear.
be the end of the race, as we are now migrating host. I don't know if that's the same for you, Stryfium.
It is, unfortunately, but I am getting us our race director that we most desperately need, I'm sure. But to
So
all of
right
you who
now-
tuned in, this has been the final round of Misfits Racing League Season 2. And we are going to be back very soon with more racing action. Of course, F1 2020 is going to be coming out very shortly. This next weekend coming up, of course, on Saturday, June 27th, we have a lot going on, and we'll get to that in just a moment's time. And we will walk you guys through what just occurred here in Suzuka.
Yeah, the migrating host. Oh, it's now finally migrated, as Henry has now left the session. So we will now see the podium celebrations. Well-deserved win for Chenjie. Long time coming. But has now capitalized off other people's mistakes and other people's misfortunes to take the win here in Suzuka. Zamayo from 18th on the grid will come up in second place, and King will round off the podium places in that Renault squad. Taking home some good points for that team.
A lot of points for that team. A ton of points for that team.
Yeah.
And there you have it. Shenjie, pole sitter ahead of this race. Race winner here in Suzuka for the final round of Season 2 MRL action. What a feat from him and Zmayo, showing why he's at the top. 18th to 2nd here. Not quite able to get it done on Shenjie, but I'm sure the pressure was on for the Haas driver. King takes the remaining podium slot. Absolute fantastic racing from all of our drivers here in this one, and we cannot wait to get into the highlights for you guys, which will of course be on YouTube this weekend. If you're new to the channel, make sure you smash that follow button, as we are live regularly with super intense wheel-to-wheel action like you have just seen. Of course, we saw our Tier 2 drivers race earlier today. And what a race that was. Unfortunately, Codemasters gave us some issues, so the standings for that one are going to be delayed until we can get them up on Twitter. Of course, if you're a member of our Discord, which I highly recommend joining, by the way, even if you're not looking to race in a league. If you're an F1 player, whether it be Xbox, PC, PS4, definitely check that out, because, well, it's just a great community that talks about F1, races F1, and just lives and breathes F1, so I definitely like being a member of it. But really quick before we jump into some closing comments from Mikau, just want to take a second to tell you all about June 27th. You can see it on the scrolling text on screen. June 27th, we're doing an MRL versus DMR race. It's going to be the Canadian Grand Prix at 2 o'clock Central Daylight Time, 8 o'clock BST. It's a Saturday, June 27th, and we're going to be giving away a copy of F1 2020 Michael Schumacher edition. Of course, make sure you guys are following and you join us on that Saturday, and you will be eligible to win that fantastic game. Hopefully a little bit better than this one. Moving on, what a race we've seen here. So much overtaking. I have to say that was definitely top 5 for me this season as far as overtaking and action on track. Mikau, what do you have to say about Suzuka overall this evening?
I will say that for Tier 1, Suzuka did not disappoint. It had everything. It had ballsy overtakes, unfortunate crashes, just wheel-to-wheel action wherever you could look, whether it be for the lead of the race, the net lead of the race, or all the way down in 10th to 11th place. There was fights going on all across the grid, and I am super happy with that race, super excited, and I can't wait to see what these drivers can bring to us in the new game with Season 3. I can't wait.
Can't wait either. And just before we head off, I just want to take a moment to thank everybody who joined us on stream today. All of you guys, the viewers, you guys are why we do it. Thank you to all of you that followed us here on stream today. Thank you to Mr. Jay Wizzy for the 11 bits today. Greatly appreciate that, my friend. Of course, Ricky Ciardo, former MRL driver and podium finisher here in Season 2 with the raid of 23 people. Greatly appreciate that. Cheers, Ricky. And all of you guys that followed, really can't thank you enough. Of course, we're going to be back next week for that DMR MRL event. And to all of you that tuned in, we wish you a fantastic evening. And of course, Check us out on YouTube, Twitter, all of our socials, which are down below and in the chat there, of course. The best one you can be a part of is that Discord. So check out the Discord, and we will see you guys very, very soon. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great evening. Thanks for watching, guys. We hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure you smash that like button to let us know. And of course, subscribe to the channel if you're interested in more great racing content. We are live on Twitch every week on twitch.tv Misfits Racing League. Hit us up in the description below for our Discord and Twitter links as well. Always looking to get connected on those. And if you're interested in joining the MRL, Discord is the place to be. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on our next video.